Quarterbacks, we have 3 tiers.
Yeah.
We break these 4 quarterbacks into 3 tiers. Number 4 is in a tier by himself.
He is in a tier by himself.
And that tier is the machine.
That's right, because he's a freaking machine.
And that number 4 quarterback is?
Justin Herbert, Los Angeles Chargers. That's right. Justin Herbert is he's an amazing player. And I think if we had to make a headline about him, it'd be all-time traits, but still looking for his big moment to jump on the scene, for everybody to buy into, wait, no, this is definitely one of the best quarterbacks in football, right? And, when you talk about him and you start to break him down, of course, you know me and you've heard me talk about him enough, and there's nothing you can really dissect too greatly here where you'd go, oh, there's an issue with his game or something. These top 4 are pretty flawless across the board. The first thing I would say is he the biggest quarterback in the NFL? He's up there with that, right? Maybe the best pocket passing quarterback in the NFL, probably the most consistent mechanics in the NFL, and then has an all-time arm, like we're saying. He's one of the best in history there in that department. But unfortunately, he's also in an era where it's Mahomes and Josh Allen who have all-time arms.
Don't give away the other quarterbacks in your top 4.
They're just talking about their arms.
Oh, okay.
Their arms are all-time too. And I think that maybe takes away from his luster or the attention he should get in that department. But, man, decision-making, the arm talent, the ability to move and run, which I think is something he can add even more to his football game. The throwing on the run, it's all really special, and that's where I love Justin Herbert.
So why is he a machine? Why do you describe him as a machine? Because that seems like distinct to him. You wouldn't just say every quarterback, even Mahomes, who's going to be talked about on this podcast.
Yeah, right.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
I don't think you'd call him necessarily a machine.
No.
Why is he a machine?
Because Herbert is just, when I look at his mechanics, and we're going to talk about somebody else that's got really good mechanics too, right? And that's the fun thing about doing the top 4, because I go, well, this guy's the best at this, and then I watch the next guy and I go, okay, no, wait, that guy's the second best at this. This guy's better in that department. That's where it's awesome. But I call him the machine because he's always in perfect position, and he's always in the pocket in a good position to throw the football, and his mechanics and his release are always just like perfect. It's perfection. It really is. Everything's always lined up the right way. And not to say he can't do it if it's not lined up the right way, but, that's where he over and over and over in the pocket. There's never a variance in, his feet are a little cockeyed here or that. He always gets himself in the right position to then, therefore, hit the bullseye. And he's a great, accurate thrower because of that. And you heard me say before the podcast, this is not like, hit the bullseye on some of these. It's like, no, I'm going to hit the right edge of the bullseye type of throwing. And that's where it's really, really special. So, that's where I get into the machine aspect, because you can go through periods of a game and go, perfect throw, perfect mechanics, perfect decision. Perfect throw, perfect mechanics, perfect decision, right? And that's where I got in, and I thought about you with Albert Pujols in this last pass when I was writing these notes.
The machine.
And going, I feel like I'm watching the machine, and I thought about you a few times as I was doing this yesterday.
Yeah, maybe in more ways than one, too, because it kind of seems like that machine quality that he has in his play may be a negative in the way that he is as a leader, and he doesn't quite have that charisma. He is more robot. It does seem like a robot. Like if you were making a video game, you'd have Justin Herbert be your quarterback in the video game. That's the template. It's like boom, 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 rifles. Does he have that personality to embody all of his physical talent?
I think that's a real question, right? I think he's a little bit more of like lead by example. He's quiet. He's that guy, right? The team believes in him, but maybe do they believe him in the extent of the guys we're going to talk about here in a minute, where I think they have magical ability in that department? No, I don't think so. I think it's probably a place where he could grow. I think that, plus, he's had some great moments in the NFL, but he hasn't had that moment yet, right, where you go, ooh, they were outplayed, or this is a big game, and they won the game because Herbert did it, right? And we're going to get into the other 3 guys. We're going to go, oh, no, there's moments where I can go, plenty of them. Both of them, where I go, they didn't play that well that day. The defense didn't play good. Man, there wasn't a lot on offense that was open and there to be had, but they still found a way to win the game. And I think that's probably part of the reason that's missing from him and his overall ranking and what he is as a player. And, hey, some of that's team-induced, and he needs a little help here and there and all that. But I would also say the three guys in front of him, I think, have been in some similar situations where I'd say, no, they won a few more of these games than Justin Herbert has. And I think that's an area that he certainly could, up himself in a little bit.
You have always been very high on Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Coming out of the draft, he was number 11 for you in 2021. He was 3 last year. He's in the top 4 once again. But when you look at his numbers, and we don't look at numbers all that often.
Right.
You don't want to be a slave to the stats, but he had a career low in touchdowns last year, yards per completion, yards per game, career low in quarterback rating, career high in time sacked. The numbers took a step back.
Yeah, they did.
Did you see his play take a step back?
I really didn't. I think the offense is the biggest issue as far as what it pertains to the numbers, right? That's the problem. I mean, Ahmed, you and I, how many podcasts did we do last year where we just went, that offense is doing a disservice to Justin Herbert, right? Them running a Drew Brees offense when you got a guy that's got an all-time arm and can make 50-yard throws in his sleep, and we're going, jamming another 4-yard throw there for us. That's where that all went down. And then within that offense, it was a little too basic West Coasty. And you've heard me say this too before. A lot of the defensive coordinators in football, when you're in the basic West Coast stuff, they know the rules as good as the offense does. They know the rules. They know what they're going to do. So that none of that, he didn't have any advantages that way. Mm-hmm. That's what hurt him there. But again, I think when you get into him, like, we talk about the size. Again, he's the ultimate throw over the line of scrimmage guy that you've heard me bring up with a few guys during this process, right? I don't think he gets his credit, because because he's a machine and it's always, there's the lack of flair maybe compared to a Mahomes or Allen. He does not get a credit for the amount of unbelievable throws he does make. I gave you an example. People go out and watch. I mean, again, you can turn on any game and see it. But, one of the games I'm watching yesterday is the Kansas City game when they're playing in L.A. I mean, the first throw of the game, or one of the first plays of the game, he's got somebody in his face. He's got to step up in the pocket, right? He's got literally somebody in his chest. But he has a guy that's open by half a foot, 28 yards away, running a corner route. And he can't throw the ball in the normal motion, so he has to kind of drop his arm angle just a little bit. And he doesn't even flinch or blink. It's just like, oh, I'm throwing this. He's open. I don't care that my body's in this position or whatever. And it's just like right there. I mean, so there's so much of that. And I think with all these guys, we gloss it over a little too much, where you'd go, no, there's like 5, 6, 7 throws a game that these guys make that the rest of football can't. And we're just so used to it. We're kind of just like, And, that's where, he's really special. Good athlete. He could scramble more, like I said. I wrote down at first, I think he maybe is the best throwing on the run quarterback, only second to Mahomes, which then is going to be Trump because I watched Josh Allen, and then I went, oh, actually, Josh Allen's better than him too, okay? Yeah. But my point is it's amazing, right? And I think some of the things you talk about, the mystique, the oh my God moments, that's not there with the top 3 guys we're going to talk about yet. And then the other thing is, he does throw sidearm more than you think, right? He can throw off his back foot and do all of that. He doesn't have what I call the hand or the flick ability that the other 3 guys have, right? And
the touch,
right? Let me I just got to get a real quick short release here and just get it up in the air and let my guy run under it. That's where he's definitely behind the other 3. There's a little, as compared, and again, we're being nitpicky with the greats here, but as compared to the other 3 in front of him too, he doesn't have as many clubs in his bag, right? Where there's a few plays in every game where I go, you shouldn't have thrown it like that. His touch ball is like, zhoo, zhoo, right? His laser is zhoo, zhoo, but his touch ball is zhoo. And that's hard.
What would you want it to sound like?
I want it to be like,
yeah.
That's the touch ball, right?
Yeah.
That's the, Mahomes, Allen, I'm on my back foot. I'm going to throw the ball 50 yards down the field, but 50 yards high too, because my guy's at the 20-yard mark right now, and I'm about to get hit or whatever, and I just got to throw it up into an area where I think he'll be, and boom, it'll drop in there. And that's where he does not have the same ability they do in that, or like a deep post every now and then, where I go, man, you can't throw a 50-yard deep post 7 yards off the ground and think you're going to be accurate with that every time. Like, throw it out there, put it in a spot, let your guy go get it. And, those are just some little areas that I think he could improve on.
Don't want to belabor the point, but the average depth of target last year, it was terrible for Justin Herbert. And a guy who could throw like that and has that good of an arm.
No doubt.
He was down there at the bottom with like Daniel Jones, who's 6 yards downfield. He was at 7 yards downfield.
Yeah.
So amongst the worst in the NFL for Justin Herbert. He should never be there again. Now,
never.
There could be a couple reasons for that, right? He was hurt.
Right.
Had that labrum injury, throwing shoulder. You don't know how much that affected him as the year went on. Didn't get talked about that much.
Yep.
But also the offensive way they were playing. You've already mentioned it.
Yeah.
Joe Lombardi is gone now. Kellen Moore is there. You've not always been that, heaping much praise on Kellen Moore in the past, but he is there. It's a different voice. Perhaps they'll go a little more vertical.
I think they will.
Mike Williams, you hope he can stay healthy.
Right.
They got Quentin Johnson from TCU.
Yeah.
Got another receiver from TCU, Darius Davis, who is over there now. So what do you think? How do you think this changes what they do? What they can do, assuming that Mike Williams can stay healthy, which I also do think is a very big thing.
It is definitely a big thing. I mean, he's a big-time talent and a talent that fits how they play and how their quarterback throws the ball, right? So I think that's where it's bigger than you think. I think all the things we're questioning are all offensive issues. He's not the kind of guy that's dropping back going, oh, I want to find the 5-yard completion. He's not that kind of guy. He's dying to throw it deep. When they call a play that's deep, he does everything he can to try to throw it deep and make the big play that way. So, no, that's where the offense did him a disservice. They did themselves a disservice by not taking advantage and opening up the field the way they should. And that's where I think Kellen Moore is going to be great. Kellen Moore, we've talked about Dak Prescott in the years past, their ability to push the – that's why I've ranked him in years past higher than most people, because I put great value in the fact that he could push the ball down the field with such ease and be so good in that department. So that's the one thing I do like here about the Kellen Moore marriage with Justin Herbert. I think it's going to open it up. And one thing I think I didn't say here, right, because I'll get into this with one other guy in a minute, but he's clearly, to me, one of the top 2 back shoulder throwers in football, right? That's where he's awesome too. And that's where I think Mike Williams and Quentin Johnson were going to come into play. And that's where when Mike Williams is not there, it does hurt them. Not only is he good at everything else, but Mike Williams is one of those guys where when even he's covered, he's not covered. And Herbert's one of those guys where it's like, even when you're covered, I can still fit it in. Right? So that's where it's a perfect marriage. And I think Quentin Johnson can be like that too. So now you get a blend of system and that kind of guy with that kind of arm and everything goes with it. I think that's where that can be, a big-time potential move up for all of them.
This is a problem for me because I've been high on the Chargers for a few years now. They've been my pick. I picked them to go to the Super Bowl last year. But now looking at their offense, Austin Eckler is going to play. He's going to be motivated. The defense has got stars everywhere.
Exactly. They're one of those teams that's, it's like they're playoff caliber. We know that. They're Super Bowl caliber, I think, on paper, but we just got to see that battle-testedness play. Can they stay freaking healthy?
Yeah.
Again, that was a big thing last year. That I would say they did not get the credit they deserve for the injury bug that they weathered the storm
everywhere.
with there.
Defense, offensive line.
Exactly right. And that's where I give Brandon Staley a lot of credit. Keeping things together, keeping them battle-tested and tough for last year. But, yeah, it needs to go up in another level, as we've seen. His shining moment right now is a loss in Week 18 versus the Raiders 2 years ago, where he made a bunch of unbelievable plays, but, still hasn't found the way to overcome in some of those moments. And you know me, I don't want to blame the quarterback on all of that, but I think we can even get into the playoff game this year. You're up 27-0, right? I don't know. I'd have a hard time believing the 3 guys in front of him would have lost the 27-0 lead no matter what. And that's where I just feel like he can become a little more assertive overall. Himself, a leader, a playmaker. And then I think he's got a chance to, do some even more special things.
Yeah, from the Chargers podcast on their website, they go, one of the podcasters says, I think this is going to be much more of a vertical attack this year, going back to the rookie year with Justin Herbert,
That's
with
right.
T. Billy, Jalen Guyton, Mike Williams, catching bombs seemingly on a weekly basis. So that would be awesome to see.
I hope so. And then, that's why, I mean, that rookie year when he had Shane Steichen there and that group, right, they pushed the ball down the field, and that made us excited, But Justin Herbert, he doesn't want to throw the ball 7 yards per throw. He doesn't. And that's where hopefully this offense unchains him and lets him let it fly. And I think they're going to be a much more dangerous team if they play that way. You know me. I don't think dink and dunk works anymore. I don't. I think we're out of that era. I think teams have gotten too good. You got to make some plays, and hopefully they can get to that.
You upgrade him, he becomes the machine version 2.0.
Right.
And then 3.0. You just keep upgrading, like iOS 17, whatever we're up to right now. So the machine, Justin Herbert, in a tier by himself, your number 4 quarterback in your top 40 rankings this year.
Yo, thanks for watching, homies. It's the off season, but there's no off season for us here at Unbuttoned. Me, Ahmed Fareed, we're going to hit all the stories. So hit subscribe for us, okay? We got a ton coming up. My draft prospect rankings, my Simms top 40 quarterback countdown, and videos of me and NFL QBs playing catch and talking about their development and mechanics. Again, thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe. Peace out, homies. See you soon.